Now, there's no doubt about it that a lot of Star Wars fans have been very unhappy with Kathleen Kennedy and what she's been doing for the past couple of years since 2015 when The Force Awakens came out. It's all been really hit and miss by Kathleen Kennedy and her work on the franchise. It's safe to say that the best movie in her timeline of working with Lucasfilm is Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. I think a lot of you could very well agree with me on that. Anyways, this is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that we do know about, of course, where things are going for the overall franchise. We have Bob Iger shifting things around. He wants to focus on movies again instead of TV shows. He's already got 3 trilogies planned. We talked about this: The Old Republic, the Mandalorian trilogy, and in the distant future more so, an episode 10 through 12 to officially conclude the Skywalker saga forever. That's it. Done and done. They want to give it one last and final shot. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But when we are looking at Bob Iger, alright, in the beginning, before Bob Chapek came in, Bob Iger felt that the movies were a frequency issue, and that's why Solo did poor at the box office. That was not the case. It was just because a lot of people were burnt out because of The Last Jedi. Now, moving on to what's been going on with Kathleen Kennedy, we all know that she really kind of says a lot of controversial things, not just directly to the fandom, but also, of course, what she likes to bring up over at Disney and to Disney's Bob Iger and her plans for the future. You know, I think that throughout all these years, Kathleen Kennedy has said the wrong things. I think the biggest and worst one was how she literally said that Legends does not exist, that there's no source material that they could have pulled from to put into the sequels, and that was a complete lie. Now, moving on to the next big thing, with both Disney and Lucasfilm now preparing to make some announcements at Celebration next year, Favreau and Filoni are currently hiring new creators for Lucasfilm. Now, it's noted, however, that Kathleen Kennedy behind the scenes wants George Lucas fired from Lucasfilm and does not want him involved in any future Star Wars projects. This was actually brought up in a recent meeting that Kennedy had with the Disney board, including Bob Iger, the CEO, and made things clear to them that the reason she wants George fired is because she has been made fully aware that George is working closely with Favreau and Filoni on creating ways to undo what she did with the Star Wars brand. Now, this includes their plan to retcon many aspects of the sequel trilogy that Kathleen Kennedy is upset about, and also how George is planning on also helping out with the special editions of the sequel trilogy movies. Kennedy believes that this is all going to go far in order to undo some of the choices she made for Star Wars and does not want her work altered. So let's make things a little bit more simple about what's going on, and we'll move on to the more involved stuff in a second. We already know that Kathleen Kennedy has had this grudge with George Lucas for a very long time, and vice versa, right? George has a problem with her, Kathleen Kennedy has a problem with him. And you know what? George has his valid reasons. I mean, let's be real about that. He's got his valid reasons. He was made false promises when he sold, Lucasfilm to Disney, and when Disney, of course, was working hand in hand with Kathleen Kennedy for a long time, allowing her to literally just do what she wanted to do that did not respect anything to George. And when we look at everything related to that, of course, that just goes to show you about who she really is as a person, right? It doesn't really seem like she keeps her promises to either her clients or either to the people that she works with, or who knows, maybe even people that she works with personally, I don't know. But when we look at something like this with George, it has been a very big problem over the years, right? Now, the fact that she wants him fired and let go from working with Favreau and Filoni, not just as an advisor, but also becoming a co-writer very soon. We talked about this, of how George recently signed a deal to work on many shows and Star Wars movies in the future, only as a co-writer, not being heavily involved, but writing at least some material here and there for either certain episodes or certain moments in certain movies that they are currently planning. So that's the deal, and Kathleen Kennedy is not liking that. But what she really doesn't like is how George is involved with Favreau and Filoni's plan to literally make retcons toward the sequel trilogy movies and to alter Kathleen Kennedy's work all the way from 2014 till 2019. Now, moving on to the next thing here, alright, however, on the flip side, the Disney board, 80% of them refused Kathleen Kennedy's request to fire George, and are very welcoming of George working with Favreau and Filoni on the future. This includes both films and TV shows in the mix. The irony of this, however, is the Disney board already has a plan to fire Kennedy already by August of next year, and Bob Iger is also very happy that George is already doing a good job with The Mandalorian Season 4 with John and Dave, already as it is, for the direction of the plot. So, I don't know if you guys were, aware about this, but he is involved with Mando 4. He is working hand in hand with John and Dave on what to do with Luke, what to do with Ahsoka, and Din and Grogu, and all these big revelations that's going to come out. But the biggest thing of all about this that I can take away from it all is that this just goes to show you that Kathleen Kennedy is very defensive when it comes to what she does with Star Wars. And given that she herself said that she never really watches these movies, from start to finish or anything like that, and that she's not really a quote-unquote hardcore Star Wars fan per se, she just kind of uses this as a conduit to create a successful brand, is what it seems like to me, at least. I don't know about you guys, but that's what it looks like to me. And she gets very defensive over somebody altering what's in her eyes is successful work. Now, financially, of course, yes, those movies were successful. They made a lot of money. There's no denying that. That's not, a lie there. That's true. But let's not forget that a lot of the viewers, or a lot of the audience members that went to go ahead and see movies like The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker, alright, a lot of them that had no complaints at all are usually common moviegoers or, some of the casual fans. Not all casual fans, but some casual fans. There's a good portion of the casuals, by the way, that still do not like these movies, which is quite surprising. So, there's a lot of things going on lately. I mean, there's a lot of shifting and new plans coming out of all of the Disney board members, and how they really are settled on just getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy now and just moving on. Getting Ron Howard in, or if he doesn't work out, getting David Heyman is the plan. And if that doesn't work, they got some backup candidates if they need be. So there's a lot of things going on here, and everything related to it all. It's a real tug-of-war situation, is it not? It is. Because you can see what's going on here. Kathleen Kennedy makes her stuff, somebody else comes in to try and fix it, she doesn't like it, she tries to get that person fired, and Disney board members refuse to do that. It's just a very messy situation. And this is the one thing that I think turns off a lot of fans when it comes to LUCASFILM as a company and how it acts under Kathleen's leadership. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.